There's a constellation in the skies, and it's calling BS on all the lies in our personal lives and on a global scale. And this constellation, the Saturn Neptune conjunction, which is inching together closer and closer to become the defining constellation of 2025, we are going to decode it in this video, and we're going to see how to deal with this energy in the best way possible. So there is a constellation in the Astrology of 2025, which we've talked about a lot already on here, and which is the Saturn Neptune conjunction, currently in Pisces, but then going into Aries. And this constellation, it's about the bubbles bursting of unrealistic stories and narratives and deceptions. And it's already having a huge, humongous, outsized effect on the world, as you're going to see when I'll tell you in this video the examples, and you're just going to see, oh, that's how it works, right? It's so obvious. You can't unsee it once you understand the archetypal signature, because it's everywhere in what's happening right now in the world around us. So we're going to go through those examples. And I'm also going to tell you how to best manage this energy in your lives, because it's going to impact all of us. And it's important to go with the flow and, to do what the time quality demands of us in order to unlock the most holistic spiritual development for yourselves, right? So make sure to watch this video till the end. Okay, so Saturn Neptune, we've talked a lot about this. What is it? It's Saturn. I'll tell you the archetypal principles again, right? Because it's important. You have to start to see things through the archetypal lens. That's when you be able to decode the underlying forces, spiritual forces behind things, right? So Saturn is the principle of winter, basically, right? It's kind of limitation and structuring things through that which has to dying, right? It's kind of cold and death, so that only the essential, the bare bones kind of can remain, right? That's Saturn. But this is a death that is necessary in nature, so that which is supposed to live can live. Just like winter is necessary. You need winter so that you can have a spring again, right? Saturn is this necessary death. When it comes and hits you in an aspect or in a transit, you shouldn't be scared at all, right? This is a necessary process. I need to, strip down things and become more severe and more austere in whatever domain that's being hit. And that's good. That's good. That's a good thing, right? When you handle the energy well. And Neptune, what is it about? It's about the dreams, the illusions. In its highest form, Neptune is about that transcendental connection with the cosmos, the spiritual principle. But mostly it's still lived as fantasy and dreams, and also oftentimes unrealistic fantasies. So deceptions, basically, right? And illusions, right? And that's the energy that when it hits together with Saturn, as this year, every time this 30-odd year cycle hits together, we have this energy. We have the Saturn-Neptune energy. And in the world, we always see around that time a breaking down, a death of a lot of narratives and a lot of kind of ideas and ideologies, right? That's what always happens on a global scale. The last time was 1988, the Berlin Wall fell, the global communist kind of, experiment or, system, it died down as well with this ideology crumbling. And if you go back, it's always the same, right? 1917, we had a Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and it was the last Tsar in Russia, who was basically the last remaining monarch who had a claim to be the Holy Roman Empire of Christianity. The whole, the emperor of Christianity had an unbroken claim, right? And that died in that year. That ideology died. And who knows, maybe to come back in future. And so every time we go back, we see this same signature, right? We see the signature of the death of certain ideas, the death of certain of certain visions and narratives. Basically, the narratives and the visions that need to go, they die in this year, especially the ones that cannot stand up to the sun of truth and of the scrutiny of the truth, right? They need to die in that year. So what does it mean on a level that we can understand with events that are happening around us? Let me tell you, I will tell you some concrete events, and that's when you're going to go, bam, I can see it. That's Saturn, Neptune, right in front of our eyes, right? Let's start with one. And I'll do these global events first before we then go into the personal level, and I can tell you how to best manage this energy for yourself, right? And how to optimize your personal growth and development in this environment. So let's start with the example of the United States, right? United States is obviously going through this huge transformation right now. And when we look at the chart of the US, I'm going to show you the chart, and the US independence chart, then you see that there is obviously the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that is happening this year. It has a role in what's happening. It's happening here at the bottom. It's happening actually exactly on the IC of the nation, right? Which is like the roots, the core, the roots, the origins, the core identity. It's like it's going to have a massive impact when it's on your axes, right? And it's on the IC of the US. And not only is it on the IC, it's starting with this prolonged Saturn opposition. So Saturn is here right now, right? It's still here in the degrees of the final degrees of Pisces, and it's in opposition to the Neptune of the US, which is which pretty much close to the MC, right? So IC-MC axis is involved here, right? What does it mean? The MC, the midheaven, where we have the Neptune here. Let me tell you this. So Neptune is here on the MC. You can see this right here. And what does that mean? So Neptune is, we said what it is, the principle of dreams in the best sense, but also of confusion and deception in the bad sense. It's on the MC, the midheaven of the US. The midheaven is how you're publicly perceived and what your role is in the world. So let's put this together. On the low vibration, on the high vibration, let me tell you the high vibration. On the high vibration, this means that the role of the US is to be a beacon of hope and of dreams and of visionary leadership for the world, right? The American dream that everybody looks up to in the world, right? The dream that everybody looks up. Obviously, this is the highest vibration of this energy, right? What the Statue of Liberty used to be, right? Where everybody in the world would look up to it. It was so like, this is freedom, right? There is something that gives visionary leadership to the world, right? That's the high vibration of Neptune on the MC. The low vibration of Neptune on the MC is a government, the MC is government, right? That lies, that deceives the public and the world, that lies and deceives the entire world. You know, that a government that fights wars across the world based on lies, based on deception, based on lies and you know, machinations and manipulations in order to get resources or whatnot, and a government that lies to its own public constantly, right? That is the low vibration of Neptune on the MC. And I'll leave that up for yourself to think about when and where and how the US has realized the high vibration of this energy and when and where it has realized the low vibration, right? You could put that together for yourself. But right now, as we are having, as I just showed you, we are having the conjunction of Neptune and Saturn in an opposition to the Neptune of the US on the MC, like I just showed you. It's a time of reckoning, right? Saturn is coming and it's saying, the lies and deceptions, right? They need to now die down. They're over. The time is over for them, right? There is a time of reckoning for those lies and deceptions, right? So what does that mean? Where do we see this happen right now? Well, obviously USAID, right? USAID, a massive, large-scale global racket, which was run by, the elites, the globalist elites in the US, mostly the Democrat, party, but the Dems mostly, right? But but not just them. It was like a whole system, NGOs and all kinds of people involved in this. Soros, obviously, who else, right? Obviously, always involved. Corrupt politicians all over the world receiving money for God knows what, right? All kinds of the most absurd programs for transsexual ballet in Guatemala or, whatever. Programs in countries that nobody has ever heard about, as Trump was just saying in the State of the Union address. And that, all of this has come crumbling down. All of this is crashing down now. Come crashing down. It's the deception, the bluff has been called. This is primary, signature. Saturn, Neptune, the deceptions are being called out. They're dying in opposition to Neptune of the U.S. Obviously, same bucket, archetypal bucket falls the Ukraine racket, right? This massive system that was set up for money laundering and people enriching themselves. And you just need to, obviously it is, this is a really big rabbit hole. We're not going to go into this, but it falls in the same category, right? I'm not saying everything that happens in Ukraine. Obviously, there's a real tragedy going on there where people are losing their lives, which is a whole different story. But the racket that was built around it with the corruption and the people enriching themselves and stories being made up and all of that, right? That's dying as well, right? That's dying. And that's another deceptive system on narratives that is dying, right? Before I go give you the second one, subscribe to this channel. Make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so yet. And like and comment on the video to boost the algorithm. You're much appreciated, as always, right? Now, the second example that I'm going to give you and show you, and then you're going to start to see more and more that how clear this is, right? How telling the astrology is. This didn't happen. This stuff didn't happen in 22 and 24. This didn't happen in 2016. It's happening in 2025 when we have the Saturn Neptune conjunction, right? And it's always like this. The astrology is always on point like this, right? Second example is somebody called Emmanuel Macron, le président de la République française, right? The great leader of the great French nation, who has turned out to be, he's been destroyed by none other than Candace Owens in a series of revelations that, I'll leave that up for yourself to go and see what happened there. But it's not just that, the story is that it's not just that Macron's partner is of a different gender than you thought, right? There's actually these two guys actually been involved in an insane amount of crazy rackets and crazy kind of, criminal activities, really, to say the truth, which are all about that same globalist kind of system. And you know what they do. You know what they do especially with minors and so on and so forth. I'm not going to get into all of that, but you can watch it for yourself and you can see the evidence, right? And when you look at the chart of this politician, of Emmanuel Macron, you can see here very clearly that it's the most, clear signature imaginable, because this guy, he has here, this is his Sun and Mercury in the final degree of Sagittarius. You see Sun and Mercury, right? The very eloquent speaker, who leads things and all, but also with his kind of dreamy ideals and a way of kind of speaking, but also kind of a very sneaky guy at the same time in the 12th house. And this Sun and Mercury is directly squaring this constellation that is coming here, Saturn and Neptune, right? So Saturn and Neptune are coming together and they're directly squaring, and it's just going to get worse. You see, it's already now on, and it's going to get worse and worse. It's just going to get more and more and more exact the more we go into summer. So, make you get ready for this not being the end of it, right? There's going to be more. There's going to be more. I think Candace Owens is not done yet, right? There's going to be more. You see this here? So this is his constellation. This is the Saturn Neptune, and it's directly squaring his Sun and Mercury, and it's going to be perfect and exact actually when they in summer, and then they go into Aries. Both of them go into Aries. You see here, Saturn and Neptune go into Aries. Get ready for this in general, right? Right now, Neptune is still in Pisces. Neptune is very strong. The dreams are still super strong. Once they go into Aries, both of them, it's going to get much more aggressive. Everything, all of this deceptions, calling the bluff, and so on, which is we're seeing right now, is going to get far more aggressive still. So this guy, it's going to be super difficult for him, right? He's going to have so much stuff come out about him this summer. And it's rightly at the time when the globalists are trying to build him up as the alternative leader of the globalist system, right? So crazy story. We're going to keep checking in on the story. But I have another one for you. And it goes on and on. I could have literally listed like 10 examples for you here. But, this video would be too long. I'm going to give you a third example still. And that's Diddy, right? Diddy. So Diddy, the Diddy story started a little bit before already. It's not just super fresh right now. But it's coming into focus more and more as, the list is supposed to be released. The Diddy list is supposed to be released. And lo and behold, the Saturn Neptune that is starting to constellate is in a direct opposition to his Pluto. You see here Pluto? That's his Pluto. So the guy is somebody who obviously, his Pluto is very strong. He has a lot of power. He was literally the guy who called all the shots in the rap industry, right? They gave him all the producers. They put him all there. And he was, extorting and blackmailing and having people do the weirdest things, right, to please him. And, if they wanted to have a shot in the rap industry, he had a lot of power. And he used substances and his parties and stuff. That's also substances is Neptune too, right? Deceptions, confusion, substances. And all of that is the house of cards is crumbling, is falling to pieces, where all of this is being called out right now. It's being called out right now, right? And it's perfectly fits the archetypal signature. I got one more person for you, and that's Jay-Z. Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z actually is just very similar chart to Sean Combs, to Puff Daddy, I think to Diddy. Right, I still know him as Puff Daddy. You can see I'm an older millennial, right? I'm one of the old millennials, so I still know him as Puff Daddy, right? So, but Puff, Diddy and Sean and Jay-Z, they are a very, very similar age. They're just 1 month apart from each other. They're just born 1 month apart from each other, which means that Jay-Z's Pluto is just a degree further away, which means that he's going to have the same experience with a little delay. His is coming too, right? He's been involved in all of this too, and his is coming too, right? He's going to get his. It's coming, right? It's with a little delay. It's coming. So you see, and there's, again, as I said to you, there's so many other examples I could have gone into, but I think this is enough for you to understand and to see the archetypal principle, right? It's happening everywhere. The lies, the deceptions, the narratives that are outlived its purpose, or that we don't need anymore collectively for our collective consciousness, they need to die now, right? They need to die. The lies need to die, and it's happening this year. Everywhere. It's happening everywhere. All right, so let's move on to the personal level. How do you manage this energy for yourself personally? What's the best way to manage this personally, right? So again, all these archetypal forces and time qualities and energies, they're happening in our lives. We all have charts, and we all have unique charts that are hit somewhere by these energies, right? Obviously, therefore, if you want to find out how exactly, in which area of life exactly it hits and how it hits and what's the timing involved, how can you best maneuver this, you need to look at your chart. You need to analyze your chart. We can do that together. If you want to work with me, you can find the link below for consultations. I have different modalities now. You should go check it out. And we can decode that for you so you can optimize your growth, your abundance, your wisdom in accordance with the time quality that's coming. But generally speaking, I'm going to give you a very general guidance, which is true for everybody and totally true for everybody. This year, as this energy is perfecting more and more, it's a year of where we should proactively, we should deal with this energy by really, if you have any untruth in your life, if you have any deception in your life, anything where you have not been so fully forthright to others, with yourself, this is the time to be proactive about it. This is the time to make amends. This is the time to prepare for whatever it is that you need to do. Remember, as I showed you, as I told you, right now it's in Pisces. It's going to go into Aries in summer. It's going to get more aggressive still. The calling out of the lies, the deceptions is going to get even more aggressive, right? So keep in mind, if you have, anything where in the past you weren't fully truthful about, or you had some deception, so it's going to be a good time to be proactive about it, right? To make the step yourself. Now think about it. It's like if you have a weakness and you are the one who talks about it, like you step out and you come and say like, yo, this is, even with the humor, with humility, you come and talk about it, right? Then you kind of take away the ammo, out the ammunition, or, the wind out of the sails of anybody who wants to oppose you with this, right? You own it and you can't be hurt anymore, right? And it's the same thing with this constellation, right? If you are proactive about these things this year, you will have a much better outcome than if you wait and you let things happen and you let kind of karma or, the events of life kind of bring out any untruths, that exist. And now if you're on a spiritual path, I'm sharing something else with you too. If you're on a spiritual path, this is especially important. That was just mundane, things that could happen in any area of life. That could be, whatever, a deal, a contract that you have with somebody, an agreement, that you had, a story that you told in your family, some backstory where you weren't truthful, whatever it is, right? Could be anything. But now, with regards to spiritual development, it's even more important, doubly important, to be truthful this year. And to be truthful in a way that is almost painful, requires austerity and discipline, right? And towards who? Most of all, towards yourself. Because if you want spiritual development, if you want spiritual ascension, if you want to evolve and reach higher levels of consciousness and initiation, a condition for that is truthfulness, right? And I'm talking about the kind of truthfulness where it's about what do you do or say or think when nobody is watching, right? When nobody's there. Do you say or think? Think, it's important too. What happens in your head is important. It's not, you can't just say, oh, it's just a thought, it doesn't matter. No, for spiritual development, it's important, right? All levels need to be scrutinized. Body, mind, soul, spirit, right? All of it, right? And would you do or think something if everybody could see, if your friends could know, if the people you respect most could know as well, if God could, God is always seeing you. God always sees you, right? So keep that in mind and ask yourself that question. And if the answer is no, then that's something to be ruthless with this year and to be disciplined with this year and to sweep that away and bring truth into that, right? And then you're going to have this year an immense amount of progress with this constellation, because Saturn Neptune in this highest form, it also stands for the attainment, the disciplined attainment of enlightenment. Disciplined attainment, Saturn, of enlightenment, Neptune. That's the highest form. So that you can do as well this year. It's also in the books. It's in the cards. It's in the air. It's in the time quality as well this year, right? But again, what you have to do for that is more than anything, truthfulness. Truthfulness, right? Because lies are always going to block your path, unless if you're on the left-hand path. The left-hand path in spirituality is the path of self-glorification and adversity against God, and they move with lies, that they work through lies. They use lies, right? But that's not what we talk about here. That's not what we talk about. We talk about the path that is aligned with God, that is in service to God, and that is a path of spiritual evolution and attainment, which is sustainable and eternal for your soul, right? That's what we talk about here. So that's what I have to share with you. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this. Where you're thinking, you could do steps and moves and make amends. You don't need to tell me if you have secrets or whatnot. Make the steps yourself. But let me know in the comments how you feel with this advice, right? And how you're seeing other situations. If you know of other situations that you can see in the world right now, where the lies and deceptions are being blown to smithereens, right? Let me know in the comments so we have a conversation. Also, subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I appreciate you very much. Be well and be blessed.